Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a shoutcast in a game between Vile Spanishiwa and LiquidTLO, Game 3 in a best of 3 series, and TLO taking Game 1 in that best of 3, Spanishiwa getting in a nice Baneling detonation in the middle of a tightly packed group of drones, forcing TLO to do an early GG in Game 2. And now Game 3, all the marbles, everything comes down here on Antigua Shipyard. Give a nice drink of water there. Unfortunately for me there, I don't have a dual caster this time around, so I'm just trying to not tire out my voice, and we'll see what happens in this best of 3 series. Now, Spanishiwa has been opening up with gas first, and I assume that he will be doing that same strategy once more. Meanwhile, TLO has been changing from gas, like early pool, early gas to hatchery first, but because this is Antigua Shipyard and because of the locations, I wouldn't be also surprised if he does end up going for, say, a fast hatchery. Cross spawns is rather large, and there is a lot that you can do. Now, taking a look at this one hatchery over here, you're just going to see pretty much no buildings being placed down, as this 15th drone now on his way over to the natural expansion. It looks like it will in fact be a 15 hatchery drone growing up, and now you see that first building coming in from TLO. Meanwhile, Spanishiwa already harvesting gas, now getting that spawning pool, and he will really need to get a lot of damage dealt with these Zerglings. Those Zerglings, the Zerglings running around the map, need to perhaps be able to poke their head up, get some drone kills, as I believe TLO should have a slight economic advantage by getting this hatchery first. He is not getting any gas though, so that means that his metabolic boost is not going to be completed for quite some time, and that really is going to put TLO on the defensive end. He's going to have to hold off any Zerglings and perhaps even Banelings with just queens, spine crawlers, and perhaps one or two queen spine crawlers, and then also a couple packs of Zerglings, and they're not going to have that metabolic boost, so they're not going to be able to get into position and get the proper flanking. You can already see Zerglings now being trained, 2 Zerglings at the ramp there, metabolic boost about 1/3 of the way completed. We can still see 1 drone on gas right now, so it looks like Spanishiwa should be going into Banelings off of this, as we now finally see the extractor come in from TLO. TLO still has about another minute before he'll harvest 100 gas, and then from there he will still need 120 seconds or 110 seconds to finish off that metabolic boost. Overlords now making their way out. You can see there is a hatchery, and TLO quickly laying down a spine crawler. He knows that he needs to go an early spine crawler, and he sees all of these Zerglings coming in, so TLO with some very early scouting now knows what's going to be coming in over here, as the Zerglings now try to slip their way in, and it looks like the Zergling just gets to the top of the ramp and doesn't see much of anything else, so he only sees the spawning pool. He doesn't see a Vespian Geyser here, as TLO did build it on the far side, as now we're going to see this Zergling with that metabolic boost perhaps just run around and get a lot of damage dealt. 19 drones versus 17. The Zerglings are going to try to engage, but right here the Zerglings engaging against these Zerglings over here. Even though Spanishiwa's are faster, he's not really able to get up that ramp. 2 queens blocking the south side of the ramp here. Zerglings now try to make their way in. Another Zergling does finally get in, so very, very crucial that Spanishiwa gets all of this scouting information, as a drone now tries to make its way in, and now Zerglings will be coming in along the far side as well. Will this Zergling perhaps be able to survive? It doesn't look like it. Running straight past, no, down to 1 hit point, and still trying to do more scouting, but unable to do very much at all. Banelings now being morphed over here on the ramp, and those look like they will be running straight into this mineral line, but there's not that many drones, and with 2 spine crawlers here, and even if the Baneling is able to avoid one of them, the spine crawler's range is rather large. You can see there's a poke, and down to already, what, 5 hit points there, and another poke may come in, as I don't think, nope, he doesn't know about that other one there, and now only 1 Baneling runs into a group of drones there, dealing 35 damage, but 5 damage short of any kills. Spine Crawlers now slowly moving forward. The Spine Crawlers do take 12 seconds to root and get into position, but very, very powerful stationary defense that isn't so stationary and doesn't cost any food. It looks like Spanishiwa does have his own hatchery up and running, and both players pretty much in a very, very similar situation right now. Spine Crawlers and Zerglings, but the Zerglings are going to be able to perhaps surround, run straight inside the space. There's a queen over here. Spanishiwa now fighting back. The Zerglings are trying to take down the queen. The drones are coming in to get in some damage as well, as we can now see this queen down to 82 hit points. There is a Baneling detonation and another Baneling detonation there. Taking a look at the total losses, it looks like Spanishiwa has lost a little bit more. More Zerglings now on the front door. One Spine Crawler is ready. There are some Baneling cocoons as well on the ramp, as the Zerglings look like they're going to be making a rush into the main base here. And there are Banelings hiding off over here. I do not believe he knows about them. Spanishiwa gonna be in a bit of trouble. He doesn't have the Zergling count. He doesn't have the Baneling count. He only has one Spine Crawler, but in comes an Evolution Chamber. So the Evolution Chamber now coming in to try to do a block here. The Banelings, what was that? Oh my goodness, that was perhaps the most the most horrible use of Banelings ever from a high-level player. The Banelings running straight into an extractor there, and I believe that is going to give Spanishiwa a much just a stronger advantage now. And the 4 Banelings couldn't take down an extractor, not even a good trade at all, as the Zerglings are now going after drones. If those Banelings had and perhaps even engaged on 1 or 2 detonations, that would have been enough. Taking a look at the losses for Spanishiwa still slightly higher by about 300 resources, but really not all too much. There, you can see now, right now, there's only one queen in between these 2 bases. The queen does have a lot of energy, so it was able to inject twice. Banelings are morphing into play by TLO. Zerglings now morphing in. Zerglings now engaging here, and there you go, TLO getting in some easy damage over there as a 3rd base now being established here. Both sides' armies are relatively small, but a harvester advantage for TLO by 2 right now. But he also has more queens. Those queens are going to really translate into more larvae and more injects. And now you see TLO taking that advantage, 51 drones compared to 44. Zerglings now running back, going to be able to morph on the ramp here, as TLO now and Spanishiwa most likely will be transitioning into a different strategy. TLO already is at tier 2, already going into getting that Spire. Meanwhile, Spanishiwa only sitting at tier 1 off of 2 bases, trying to establish this 3rd, but he's gonna have a uphill battle, as he knows that his opponent most likely, or his opponent is definitely at tier 2 with the sight of that Overseer. And now Zerglings looking to peck apart at this hatchery. There's going to be a Baneling coming in. The Baneling takes down 4 Zerglings and another 5 Zerglings there. And now these Zerglings, not much can really happen. This one Baneling cocoon, is it going to morph? Oh, it could have perhaps detonated, and now trying to make its way in. The Zergling, this one Baneling, very low on hit points, and then just runs in and dies anyways. More Zerglings are going to come back around the corner. It looks like the Zerglings want to perhaps try to destroy that hatchery before it gets up and running. No queen. It is at half life right now, as those Zerglings and Zerglings are still battling out. And just a constant battle. Zerglings trying to get damage onto that hatchery and perhaps take it down. More and more Zerglings are getting destroyed. There is some detonations there, taking down and getting it below half hit point, and also taking some Zerglings at the same time. Now, Spanishiwa does have his hatchery up. He's finally starting his tech to tier 2, about halfway done now. But Mutalisk are going to be in the air, and what are these Zerglings and Banelings going to do to counter them? There's not much they can do. We need to see Hydralisk coming in from Spanishiwa, but then we should see a counter by TLO into Roaches. 66 drones versus 49 SCVs. Mutalisk still flying off to the north here. There is a Spore Crawler though, so the Spore Crawler getting in a nice easy shot. 15 damage per attack. The Spore Crawler, perhaps one of the lowest DPS stationary defenses, but the Banelings may come in just simply for a suicide run here, and it's now going to get in a lot of damage to the hatchery, and there it goes. I believe he calculated it, saw how much damage it had, and said, you know what, I can simply just take down the hatchery. And now Spanishiwa, even though he is down on harvesters by 11, he is going to have a lot of time to get this hatchery saturated, and his economy may actually be a little bit better. Yes, it is better, as all of these drones are now forced to do long distance mining on gas. Now, Queens doing a bit of a conga line over here to the third base. Mutalisk are looking to swarm in here in just a moment. There are 3 Spore Crawlers. Drones now getting taken down here. What's going to be happening? The Mutalisk are in position, getting in some easy damage, but now the Queens need to make their way over to the natural expansion. There is only 1 Spore Crawler here. Mutalisk now flying straight into the group. There is a Spire now coming in. The Queens getting in some damage, and now it looks like those Mutalisk are going to get even more drone kills, as the Mutalisk of TLO just simply doing a quick flyby here, and no Queen over here at all. Spore Crawler now making its way in. Finally, the Mutalisk are coming in. You may get a couple of transfusions off. Spanishiwa needs to keep it up. Yes, and gets a nice transfusion, and now it looks like TLO losing a lot. Meanwhile, back over here, Zerglings attacking and taking down drones as they are in transit. So both sides dealing damage to each other, and now 17 worker kills compared to 23. 60 drones versus 62. Spanishiwa taking the advantage in the worker count. Army advantage still belongs to TLO, a much larger mineral army and gas army, definitely. That means he has more Mutalisk. Queens are in the middle of the base here. There are no creep tumors being laid down, as I believe the Queen may just do some transfusions to keep these Mutalisk alive even longer. Zerglings now looking to take down this hatchery. It looks like this hatchery going to get to a half hit points before the Mutalisk do in fact finish them off, and Mutalisk now being added by Spanishiwa as well, as we are now going into infestors. Zerglings in the middle of the map. Are they going to get taken down? I believe so. Yes, the Mutalisk are just going to clean them up here, as we now see 5 Queens over here. There are a decent amount of Mutalisk, both sides with a fair number, 17 versus 14, and Spanishiwa also has a lot of Queens. Those Queens will be able to hit those transfuses and keep those Mutalisk up if they do any sort of push. Mutalisk are now wandering around as TLO getting a 1 base advantage at the gold minerals, and now I believe TLO is going to be taking the harvest, or taking the advantage here. But Zerglings now once again trying to swarm in here. Zerglings going to try to apparently poke apart this hatchery. All of the banelings taken down, as now we can see Mutalisk going after Mutalisk. And now these Mutalisk of Spanishiwa taking a lot more damage, going to be forced to retreat. The Glaive Worm chain damage just simply too much. And now lower hit point Mutalisk are getting taken out there. 136 versus 119, 69 versus 62 drones. And no additional... I'm still surprised to see no additional hatchery come in from Spanishiwa just quite yet. Zerglings are being forced to pull back. Zerg level 2 flyer attack now coming in for those Mutalisk. Meanwhile, level 1 now just finished on Spanishiwa Mutalisk. So TLO definitely with the upgrade advantage, has the food advantage, has the army advantage. He just now needs to translate it into a win, into a superior army, and then with some proper micro, perhaps some fungal growths on Mutalisk, take them out. Overlords now making their way across the map. The hatchery down to 436 hit points, and now they're simply just going to try to run by infestors, make it off a fungal growth. No fungal growth here, as the Zerglings now going to take down a Queen. 1 Queen does get taken down, as the Zerglings are able to finish off the middle hatchery over here. So a nice bait and switch there. The fungal growth, there goes 1 infestor. The Zerglings now finishing off even more drones. So Spanishiwa, even though he has a smaller army, has been attacking with the right units at the right time consistently, catching TLO out of position. 80 drones versus 61 here. Oh, a fungal growth goes down, but there goes an infestor. There goes another. No, the infestors are going to go straight up against each other, against those Mutalisk. The Mutalisk have taken a lot of damage. Are they going to be able to get enough damage off on the infestor? No. Down to 3 hit points, as we now see TLO is even on bases once more. 86 drones versus 61 drones, as this game does roll on. Zerglings, Queens transfusing. You can see the strength of the Queen army just healing up all of those Mutalisk, and I really like this play by Spanishiwa. A lot of creep tumors here, and now going into some spine crawlers as well, but he is hurting in terms of harvesters. He is not hitting his injects, and you can see currently no spawn larva at any of the hatcheries. He needs to get up another base. His main base is nearly mined out, as his Mutalisk are going to go ahead and battle it up once more, but too many Mutalisk to deal with. a 9 Mutalisk advantage, as the Zergling's now going to run straight inside this base again, perhaps get a surround onto the Queen. The Queen is next to a Spine Crawler, and I believe that Queen will get taken down. Infestor getting off a fungal growth there, as Zerglings are now battling up inside against another Queen here. The drones able to finish off those Zerglings, and now the units are being forced to pull back. All of these Mutalisks are low on hit points. Mass transfuses once again, getting this army back up into operation. You can see how many Queens there are. The Queens essentially now very low on energy, as the Zerglings are trying to pick and choose their fights still. 74 drones versus 63 drones. And the bases are really starting to mine out. Spanishiwa has not been hitting his injects, essentially just using all of that energy to keep his army alive instead. One Mutalisk. Oh, why did he turn around from one Mutalisk? That would have been a very easy kill. And now TLO going to lose that Mutalisk there. And now Spanishiwa once again going to re-engage both sides, dealing a lot of damage, but I think TLO does have superior numbers. He does in fact have superior numbers, as Zerglings are running around, and these Zerglings will get taken down. And I think that was a really bad trade for Spanishiwa. About a 1,500 resource difference, as a couple more Mutalisks join this flock here. Up to 14 Mutalisks now. Army advantage, 15 Mutalisks versus 20, and really TLO been trying to save all of his Mutalisks with transfusions. Meanwhile, Spanishiwa is trying to save all of his Mutalisks with transfusions, but the Zerglings and with the sheer number of TLO's Mutalisks have always been able to win out in any engagement. More roaches now being added. Mutalisk coming in back over here. Perhaps they will come in and deal a bit of damage, as the main base has essentially been mined out, and this is just a Mutalisk battle now in the air. Zerglings getting picked apart, as the Mutalisks are now back once more, perhaps to do a bit of a raid and get some damage onto the lair there. Mutalisks now fly in, see that there are currently no drones. The Mutalisks may be able to flank them in position, and these Mutalisks are stuck in the back corner here. They're going to suffer a lot of damage by TLO's Mutalisks, as the TLO's Mutalisks able to get in front of them. One Mutalisk down. I believe another Mutalisk does get taken down there, and that is just no good at all. Those Mutalisks all getting torn apart, and now that was just a really bad sign. Roach is now in the field. Hydralisk then being added, as we're going to have a tech switch, and does TLO expect this is the key question. Hydralisks need to be trained up in a very large number. The Hydralisks cannot go up against that many Mutalisks unless they have even numbers at the very least. The chain damage on those upgraded Mutalisks, very large, especially with an Infestor army to back it up. You can now see the Mutalisk perhaps trying to buy more time for that macro. The Queens are not hitting their injects still. And Queen back down over here. And now the Mutalisk coming in, getting in some drone kills finally. There are a lot more Mutalisks coming in straight from behind. And down it goes. So it looks like TLO is going to be trying to counter all of those Hydralisks with even a superior number of Mutalisks. That normally doesn't work, but sometimes brute force, just getting that many units, it doesn't really matter, as the Hydralisk cannot stack up nearly as much. And now Spanishiwa bringing in drones. So drones are even part of this engagement here, and this is looking really bad, as the Mutalisks are now finishing off the extractors here. And now in comes the army. Roaches, drones, Hydralisk, Queens. Queens are very slow. Zerglings now getting into position. Mutalisk now coming in as well. Roach is going to finish this off, as the Banelings are now going to try to run in. Drones are in a very bad position there. There's a fungal growth. So much Baneling damage. There's another fungal growth. Mutalisk now finishing off Banelings of Spanishiwa. Hydralisk trying to come in, and there are Queens joining in on this fight. 9 Queens trying to just continually fight. Roaches are engaging as well. Spanishiwa down to 84 food. More Roaches coming in. The Roaches do have tunneling claws, even though they do not have burrow, oddly enough. As Spanishiwa's army of Queens are just constantly getting transfused, and they may actually pull out ahead, especially against those Roaches. The Roaches are not upgraded at all, and the Queens are now in position here. We'll see if this hatchery does go down. More units are still coming in. The Overseer is in the air. What's going to happen here, as units are battling it out, but the Roaches are simply too much now. Even without the upgrades, the Queens cannot really fight back against that many Roaches. No more energy for transfusions, and I believe that will be the GG. Spine Crawlers now being added to the army. Will the Spine Crawlers be able to root? It looks like Spanishiwa already has a couple of Spore Crawlers in position. but no more Mutalisk to be found. The Spine Crawlers unable to get where they need to go. The Roaches not able to reinforce in time, and I believe the GG will be coming in soon as the Spore Crawlers are still walking along on the inside of the space. And there's the GG. Well played. Spanishiwa losing to TLO in this best of 3 series. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.